Hey, what's up, everybody? It's London Elixir. Welcome back to my Patreon page. So last week I got started with a few beat mixing techniques. I remember talking about how to EQ your bass and your kick drum so that they fit well together. Today I want to talk about panning, because panning is another way to create room for instruments. So let's just get into it. I have this file open for this funky beat that I have. I soloed out a few of the instruments. As you can see, I'm going to hear these. The reason why I chose these is because they're all panned in different ways, and I want to discuss the different types of panning you could use in Logic. So let's get started. Okay, so the first type of panning that you could use is the basic left to right pan. So the way that works is like if you're listening to a track in stereo, for example, if you're listening in headphones or if you have like a set of monitors, then you want to pan your instruments to give room for each other. A way that you could do that is by putting some a little more to the left and some a little more to the right. So if you ever are listening to a song in headphones and you hear something only on one side or something only on the other side, that's an example of panning. So for this in particular song, I had a lot of different things going on with my drum patterns. So I added like some tambourines, like some perks, like some different types of percussion instruments. So I wanted to pan them in different ways, as you can see with these three in particular. So let's just play it and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do first is only solo those two. And you probably won't be able to you probably won't be able to hear exactly how it's working because, obviously it depends on what type of device you're listening on. And my camera is a little closer to one side than the other as far as my monitors. But you'll get the point. So right now I have the tamarines. This is how you pan in Logic. It's this little icon right here. There's another one right here. As you can see, this is left and right. So if, right now I have it panned a little bit to the left. So I hear my tamarine coming out of my left speaker more than I hear it coming out of my right speaker. So if I played it, and then I have this percussion element panned more to the right. So it gives a nice contrast as opposed to all of these instruments coming straight up the center and like they're back to back. It would seem like a lot is going on. You're trying to create room for each element. So since these things happen back to back and they're both really fast, I have one pan to the left and one pan to the right. And then there's another percussion right here, which I have panned a little bit further to the left, because as you can see, this pan is only panned to the left by -19. This one I have panned to the left by -43. So the further you pan it, the less you'll hear it in a sense, or the more obvious it'll be that it's coming from one side or the other. So if I only have this pan to the left, you still hear it on both sides, but not as much. If you have this one panned more to the left, you'll hear it completely more to the left side. So that's like the first example of panning, is just a basic left to right pan. Now there's another way to pan, and the way that you change your panning options is going to the actual channel strip and right clicking, and you could do balance. This is what I've been using so far, or you could do stereo pan, or you could do binaural. So let's go to stereo pan. So these shakers have a stereo pan. So let me drag those up and solo that out. You can't really see the wave for the shakers right now, but they're there. So I have this one on stereo, and that just means that instead of doing something to the hard left or to the hard right, you kind of balance it out. Like, so as opposed to it going all the way to the left or all the way to the right, it kind of could spread out like that. So this one, I have it spread completely wide for the shakers because I wanted them to create aura in the background. So you hear them like kind of wide. It makes it feel wider. So that's for that type of panning, which is stereo pan. The next type of panning I want to talk about is binaural pan, which is what you see here. So here are my keys. I'll solo this instrument. Okay, so if you double click on here, it brings up the binaural pan. And this is planar. There's also spherical, but we could just talk about planar for the sake of brevity, because I see we're already getting to like the 5-minute mark. So this is kind of like the stereo pan, but on steroids, because you can control like where you want it to be heard. So the closer you bring it to the center, it'll sound louder, it'll feel more in the center of the record. The further you spread it out, it'll start to feel kind of like it's further away in the background. Same thing if you want to flip it and put it a little more in the background, as far as like this is going to make things sound like they're a little bit behind, and the closer you bring it, it'll be a little bit louder, it'll bring it more to the center, but this will be like more of a background noise, and this will still be kind of in the background spread around, but it'll be a little bit more it'll be focused a little more in the front end as well. So for my keys, usually I'll play with the binaural panning. For example, like there's this synth here, so since I have my keys taking up a lot of this space in the front, I have this signal synth taking up space in the back. So I pull this one back and I tighten it up a little bit so it's not taking up too much area. So that's the different types of ways that you could pan. Whenever you're mixing your beats though, the most important thing that you want to think about is the fact that for example, say you're going to buy a house and you have 10 people in the house. So the 10 people represent 10 separate instruments. So you want everybody to fit into the house. So each person needs to have their own room, and each person's room needs to be designed to fit them specifically. But they're still all in the same house, so everything still has to flow together. That's kind of what we're doing here. Like somebody's room needs to be a little to the left, somebody's room could be on the right hand side of the house, somebody might like living in the basement, so you want to pull them a little bit back. Some people like to be in the forefront, so maybe they spend most of their time in the living room. It's just more so about everybody finding their own space, and that's basically what you're trying to do when you mix these records. So another key point, and then I'm going to end the video, is volume control. So as you can see, even though all these instruments are panned different ways, this is the velocity meter. I also, have them all at different volumes because loudness is very important when it comes to mixing as well. So that's it for this video. I might do a part 3 for this because I do feel like there's still a lot more to get into about mixing, but this is a good start. Again, thank you to my patron who asked about this. If you guys have any questions or any topics that you want me discussing on these videos, then shoot me a message. And again, hope you guys are staying safe and healthy during this quarantine because it's really crazy out here. So wash your hands, and I will see you guys next week.